Alright. So, KnoxVegas by Mavericks. I got a 78.18. If I remember correctly. 78.18. Jesus Christ, hold on. Come check the score. Alright, let's actually. Oh. So we have KnoxVegas by Mavericks, which got a 78.13 gold. I gave this park an 80%, which was 10% above the low vote and 5% below the high vote. It's obviously inspired by the Herschend parks of Dollywood, and I don't know, not so much Silverjaw City, maybe a little bit in here and there, but also as well, like sort of the layout of the park is very Iowa-like, sort of the circular park with a entrance midway, and then a lake in the middle. So. Yeah, this park is kind of tough for me because some of it's really good. Some of these buildings, like this is a pretty good building, like this one. You know, I really like these buildings too. You know, there's some really good coasters that look, you know, really nice. Like this is pretty solid. I really like the large loop and sort of the way it's framed within the terrain. It's very much like Tennessee Twister, and kind of doesn't really have a second half. You know, it kind of has the same order of elements and everything. Yeah, Fire Chaser, Crankshaft, great coasters. You know, even Bloodhound, the GCI is pretty solid. In fact, especially the invert Zephyrus. I mean, man, the coasters in this park are pretty top notch. I've never really been the biggest fan of the RMC. I think it's just because of both of the color choice and the color choice, I guess. I don't really know. Like I don't know. I feel like that looks a little bit better. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird. Maybe something like that. I don't know. I never was really a fan of the colors. Like I thought that looks a lot better. Yeah, I mean, he has some really nice theming. You know, with the firehouse theme. For the Fire Chaser, you know, sort of the mine theme. Frontier theme with a tornado, and he also has like these it's kind of a nice little detail, like the buildings here are like bolted up for the storm, the incoming tornado. You know, get some great theme in the log flume with the construction vehicle, you know, some of the tunnels, the mine theme. What is it? Emerald Falls, yeah. But yeah, I mean, let's probably turn this down a little bit more, so it doesn't get copyrighted. It's just so good. I mean, and he also as well ran into the object limit with this park. I don't think he has any space left. Yeah, like 6 objects or 5 objects, so. I mean, it's kind of hard to ask him to do anything else here. I mean, he kind of hit the limit for the park. I mean, you see how big this park is. I mean, man. Yeah, that's kind of one thing I've never been a fan with the RMCs is people using the B&M track. I don't really like it. I mean, my personal favorite was always the water coaster track that Coaster Bill and Ride 6 used back in head-to-head, and then used the B&M track for the inversions. Because I just don't think this B&M track really mimics RMC that great. The layout's okay, I guess. Excuse me, oh my gosh. It'd be a fun coaster to ride, but it just kind of feels like I don't know, like it's kind of pressed into this little corner of the map, you know, like it wasn't initially in the plan for the park. Yeah, I mean, he has some nice theming. I mean, some of these buildings are pretty nice, like this diner here. You know, some of them are not quite as good, like these ones, especially this, and you know the body shop. And sorry about this, but car ride, like Crooked House rides, do not work in Open RCT anymore. And this is the famous working water fountain that I nominated for the head-to-head award. See the guests walk into, there's like an invisible restroom, and they stand right by the I wonder if, see, I can't even, oh my gosh. I'm just wondering if these sports are supposed to be here or not. Yes, whatever. I mean, some of these buildings are really nice, but I mean, I think his color choice, like, there's a lot of gray, you know, like this. I kind of wish you would have used different path textures on the inside of these buildings, and you know, would have stayed away from this dark brown or dark gray path, or at least maybe input some other colors into here to make it a little bit brighter. I mean, as a kids area, it's supposed to be a little bit bright. You know, and some of his foliage, I mean, obviously with the optic lumen, you're kind of, you know, in a hard spot here, but you know, I think he could have done, you know, you don't need all this landscaping back here, really. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of tough. And I think, I mean, you can always say, oh, it'd be more economical with your landscaping, your foliage use, but he did a pretty good job, you know, all things considered. And you know, obviously it's kind of hard to say, oh, go back and redo the entire park's foliage just so you can, you know, add a shop here and there or something like that. So I mean, it's kind of like stuff like in places like this, like you don't really, I mean, you know. So, I mean, he has some really nice buildings, and you know, the castle. I kind of like this area. Some people aren't that big a fan. I mean, this group of buildings isn't like that. Like, it's kind of just feels plopped in the middle of the path here, and doesn't really feel like it has any like interesting facades or something. But I think it's satisfactory enough to where it's okay. Kind of like more like an arcade, yeah. Which that works fine. I mean, he has a backspawn, which I, you know, probably like this would have. And I like these little shops here, and I actually really like the drop tower ride. It's probably one of my favorite flats in the entire park. Sort of the theming he had around this. And you know, honestly, like the theming he had in this entire area was really pretty solid. I mean, there's a kind of catapult here, which is really well done. You know. The castle wall for the rapids, for the towers here, you know, the broken wall for siege and stuff like that, all like sort of the ruins. I mean, I've never been a big fan of this, the moving platform monorail stuff. I always thought that looked way too glitchy. And so it's really struggling to get around here. So And he did include all his backstage stuff, which I think was really nice. And I mean, the queue for this feels really logical too. Like, this is how the queue would be. You know, he definitely understands his ride design. Doesn't have all these odd like decisions, or it doesn't really make sense. You know, Bloodhound's a pretty solid TCI. I mean, maybe there's a little bit too much crossover because I mean, you just have to have so much, so many like remove supports. You know, you kind of worry about it being a little bit flimsy. But the layout's pretty solid as well. I really like how the queue placement is in sort of the middle of this area here, and you know, you got the awesome entrance, and the station flyby doesn't feel forced at all, which is something, you know, a lot of times that it happens. So I'm not the biggest fan of the station for this. I mean, it's kind of a little bit dull. I've never been a big fan of these fence types. They kind of doesn't look that. They don't look like they fit in the game, to be honest. You know, I wish we'd use some colors other than gray, brown and gray. You know, in here. You know, I do like you guys a photo booth. Maybe this plaza a little bit compact. You know, but I got your transfer building here. I mean, something like this. Like, I don't really, you know. Hey, what is this? You know. Was it really necessary to add all this crap in? You know, cut out the map and or something, or just leave it open grass, you know, stuff like that. So, and another thing as well is, I blame Liam for this, but initially he had like sort of the orange. I don't think he sort of had like the yellowish orange trees, the mustard colored trees, which I like to use, and then Liam replaced the DAT with this tree type, which he already was using in the parks, and now like half the trees in the park are this awful. Like, I don't like this tree at all. So now he has a million of these green trees. It just they don't look like they're from the game, in my opinion. They look out of place always. So anyways, yeah, and actually, yeah, this dark ride as well, pretty fantastically put together. You know, I kind of wish we did a little bit more of the backstage here. I mean, obviously with the object limit, you know, hard to do, but I do kind of wish you would have carried like these walls a little bit more, just to give it a bit more of a structure to it. I don't know, like, because you kind of just have so much of the structure cut out here. It doesn't really give it the impression that it's a dark ride. It kind of just feels like you're putting this right off to the side in a closed-off area. So, I mean, all the buildings around here are pretty fantastic. Like, these are probably some of the better buildings in the park. How they're kind of integrated into the terrain here. This one isn't that great because of a lot of flat stuff, but awesome custom flat, which looks like pretty similar to one I have in my thing. Didn't even realize that. I wonder how he did his. Yeah. Oh. Uh-oh. TV went out. You got, you know, the ball pit here. What is this called? Wilderness Center. Not ball pit. I mean, Major Center. You know, staple of some of these church and parks. Definitely fits in well. I'm also not a fan of the awnings for these things. Like, I think Rob did it really well in BGA of just using the land, you know, just give it some texture at least. And also, I mean, hey, save objects, you know. So that's something I would have done in here. I mean, you can. I think he used Lewis's bench, so oh shit. Sorry, guys. So I don't know if the path types here are correct. Actually, gonna see. Yeah. God, I can't stand. Oh, he uses fish fence. Okay. So there are path types that, you know, have like full tile steps. That's what I've been using recently, and I think that looks a lot better. But anyways, so I mean, you have this nice air in the water. I mean, it's a little bit dull. I mean, that's kind of the thing with the entire park. It's a little bit dull in some areas. A little bit too much brown and gray. And sort of two-tone buildings, I guess. But you know, some nice shops on the water. I do really like this area. You know, a nice building here. You know, kind of wish you did something with the interior, because right now it's really dull. It's just kind of gray and a void. But you know, object limit, I guess. You know, you got the great environment. This is really, really good for Nemesis invert. I mean, man, like these are really hard to pull off. In the way he kind of made the train feel so natural and didn't really make anything feel forced. It's really impressive. You know, got some custom flats here. Nice job. You know, Hershey Park staples, this sort of barn, S&S tower. Gotta have those. So, you know, he has all the things you need in Hershey Park, except for maybe sort of like the fun atmosphere and, you know, the color. I mean, some places he pulls off, and other places it's a little bit stale. A little bit dull, you know. Some areas are a little bit sloppy and empty, you know. It's tough, but you know, it's that little, you know, extra bit of detail that in atmosphere that pushes it over the top. I mean, some areas you pull it off really well with these sort of game stalls, but you got to be able to figure out how to do that kind of thing without having the game stalls and stuff. So, and honestly, I mean, I know I've always used to be a freaking road line just separate my path tile, my path type. I always used to have that in every single park, but you know, in a park like this, you know, you're skirting around the object limit. Maybe it might be a better idea to remove those path lines or road lines. You know, maybe it would have been a good idea, so you could have added a little bit more to the park. But anyways, yeah, I mean, the backstage stuff is not that great. You know, not a fan of how close this is to the exit, but I mean, you know, the coasters in this area are pretty, and the architecture. This is probably my favorite sort of corner of the park. I think this is some of the stuff he originally built too, so wish he would have continued this sort of style a bit more to the park, but yeah, I mean, I really like how the entrance is laid out. So you have this winding path here. Placement of the rides. I mean, the merry-go-round, you know, again, kind of dull. Wish you would have put some more color into it. Same thing with the dodgems, you know. But I mean, most part of the buildings in this area are pretty good. You know, all the ride design, you know, like the ride buildings are really good. I mean, especially the crankshaft. Like, this is a really tough structure to pull off without making this feel like a mess. But you did a really good job. And plus, you know, you can see the queue in here, which I think is really nice. Yeah, sort of the attention to detail at the ride type is something that really, really helped this park. You know, if only he could have carried that sort of detail through the architecture and the foliage and the planning and stuff. But yeah, kind of the only place the train feels a little bit unnatural is in this area, because you have this like basically vertical slope, you know, conveniently where the coaster is, you know. You know, sort of this backstage road that goes through the mountain here and stuff. But anyways, yeah, I'm a really big fan of this park. I was on the border for Spotlight for ages. I honestly can't remember if I voted yes or no. I think I might have ended up voting yes, just because of how strong the coasters and the ride design in this park was. But you know, I think it was really close to winning Spotlight. In my opinion, there could have been a few more things done to push it over the top. You know, he had some really great ideas, but he never was able to, you know, add the atmosphere in and the small stuff in to really push it over. Just the same. I mean, maybe this is the kind of the situation where the size of the park hurts you. I mean, you always say, oh, you know, a big park of high quality would, you know, we're always contents for Spotlight, but I almost feel like in this situation, if the park was a little bit smaller, you could have added more detail back into the park, and it would have helped. Because in the end, I don't think any park size is going to make up for quality at this point. But anyways. So yeah, that's KnoxVegas. Released, way back in September? October 16th, yeah, or 15th. So yeah, pretty old, but I wanted to get a review out for this. I thought it was deserving, and I said I should, or was going to, or I never did at the time. But anyways, so yeah, that's KnoxVegas. Definitely check it out if you haven't already.